And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Joshua Files podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe, looking after their families, their loved ones, and their friends. During this tough time of COVID, and everyone needs to stay at home as much as possible, staying safe whatsoever. Today's a very great, exciting episode because this is one of the episodes I've been looking forward to for a couple of months. When I spoke to this individual that I wanted him on here, I was like hooked that when he said yes, I was so excited. I was a little bit of a fanboy, to be fair with you. I was really, really happy that he said yes, because this individual is none other than Mr. Vlad Martirosov, if that's pronounced correctly. If it is,
almost right.
Just
call me Vlad.
Vlad. Okay, there we go. Vlad. From Extermination, Dismemberment, which I'm a big fan of the band, and they have been basically the rising step of brutal death metal scenery. I saw them in Death East Open Air a couple of years ago, and I remember it was pissing down rain, and it was so crazy. It was a really good show, though. It was really good, and
the rain made it somewhat unique, I would say.
Exactly, it had to add the scenery into it, especially with our outdoor festival. It was really, really good. We did so much, though. And last thing I remember is I got a guitar pick that had the logo on, and I thought that's really good. I still keep it in my wallet, and just
nice.
But I do need a new wallet.
That's cool.
It's all good. But how have you been doing, Vlad? It's good to see you, man.
Hey, man, good to see you. Yeah, I remember the Death Feast when we met. So thanks for your kind words.
Yes.
By the way, there is maybe one quick question I'd like to ask about the word fanboy. I've noticed that English speakers are using it as a somewhat negative. I'm not sure I quite understand.
No, I think it's a concept, because when people say fangirl, it's like they get so excited. So it's kind of like the same related thing as a fanboy. So they're really interested, really keen about something like that. Like they're really excited. They're really excited for a specific thing. So it's kind of like, I'm a guy, so it's a fanboy type of thing. But if there's a female, they say fangirl. So in a way, it kind of works, and it kind of helps the gender type of role. Because otherwise, if you say, "Oh, I'm just fangirling," then people will be saying,
"Okay,
oh, woman,
I got it."
So it kind of makes sense, But it's been interesting. I can't deny that ever since this whole COVID's been coming into play, that no live shows have been happening. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and that sucks. That's one thing I miss the most, because to be honest with you, in a regular life, I was sitting at home usually most of the time anyway. My job is making music, so this is my workplace as well. So in these terms, not too much change for me, but of course I miss parties with friends and.
Absolutely. You missed the energy.
Just to relax regularly. You underestimate the importance of it. I think before it gets taken away from you, just like that.
No, I understand that. And
the shows, of course, I miss the shows. As you may or may not have seen, we just had to announce that we are postponing the August tour.
Yeah.
We believe that it would happen, and we hope that it would happen, but it's
too risky.
Possible. Even if the virus, magically disappeared, like tomorrow, we still, I don't think we would have enough time to get visas and all that stuff. So in any case. It's just, we'll have to wait. Well, anyway, that's what I say about it. At the same time, it's not the hardest thing that could happen to us.
Sure.
War is worse, so we just have to sit home for a while.
Yeah, of course. I can understand that.
Not too bad.
But I definitely miss going to events and missing all the friends that I have and all the bands that come in touring-wise and actually play shows in the town in London or whatever the case may be, local wise. You know, it's to miss that atmosphere, miss that energy, and miss that feeling of going to places and take out your negative energy out and just actually just really just get all frustrated out and just, you know, enjoy it, because that's one of the things I like going to shows, is actually withdraw that energy and actually go back home feeling all like I feel great because I
Refreshed.
people, you know, and the grudge is actually gone off, the chip on your shoulders are gone as well. It's kind of like it kind of feels like that for me, because every time I go to a show and coming back, like all the negative things is gone, and I miss that so much, man. And I'm quite pent up at the moment, because obviously, as many people are not aware, that I do work in essential workers as a retail colleague, and many people may or may not know that. So if people don't know that, then you can see why I'm frustrated, because it's tough at the moment for people like myself that are working, and it's tough for people that are staying at home, not doing much at the moment as well. And unfortunately,
I'd say working is harder than staying at home. I would presume. I would assume. I wanted to ask you, by the way, after you said that you're a retail worker, do you have the clapping?
You can do that. Yes,
Does it help?
Yeah. So I don't work on Thursdays, so that normally happens on a Thursday afternoon, about 8 o'clock in the evening, and most of the time I'll be asleep simply because I work in the next morning, and I don't have time for that, unfortunately. I gotta be up about 5 o'clock in the morning to actually go to work at 6, so it's fun times.
Yeah, man, I'm sure it's hard.
It has been, but eventually things are going to get better, but it's just a question of when things are going to get better, and
they will.
How it's going to get better, because the restrictions is kind of like lowering down a little bit, but it's kind of like
but people would still need time to decompress, you know. Even at the shows, I'd say it will take at least, I don't know, maybe even 6 months at least for people to feel safe in the crowd, you know. Again,
exactly.
Like before, just not to think about, oh, he coughed. I need to get away.
I completely understand that. There was a question I keep asking musicians, and maybe I can ask you in this. It's basically, there was a thing where, let's say live events do actually go back to normal or has strict conditions, how people have to stay in their own box and actually don't have to do any crowd surging or, you know, hip movements or stage diving or anything. Surely that's going to withdraw no energy for the bands to actually play, and it's going to make it feel like it's not worth playing shows, because it's still not safe for people to go out and actually enjoy themselves.
Well, it would be weird, of course. But at the same time, there is a dilemma. For example, if you are a band, let's take a look from this point of view. Is it even responsible from you to book shows? Because there will be people who will come, definitely. At least someone will come. There are always people who are willing to take some risk, I would say. And many bands would be willing to do it as well. But I don't know. I guess we have to decide. Is it really worth it? You know, we need to wait till this level of risk where it's not too high, because people may be okay with risking themselves, but they become dangerous for people around them as well. So that's just your responsibility. Responsibility being around people that you care about, being around people that you don't care about as well, but you know, it spreads just like. And the tricky part is you may be spreading it before you know it. That's the tricky part. That's why it all happened like it happened. But I would lie if I would say that I don't want to go to a show, even like just simply go as a fan to listen to something and to play even better. And I would be glad to have a tour right now. But But
It's too risky still.
I read the news you talked about that they want to allow shows but prohibit moshing, contact, and so on. That's just not. It's not just not happening.
No,
It's absolutely not happening. What happens is people stand for a couple bands, for a couple songs, and then they go, fuck it.
That's
And
the problem.
it is what it is. What happens. I'll just go inside the crowd, and the result is predictable, unfortunately.
Of course, yeah. It's one of those things like you can't take the risk whatsoever. Even if you see your favorite bands on that one specific line, you'll be thinking, yes, I'm going to go to it. But you got to have to release that urge and be like, I can't really go. It's going to be so dangerous to actually still be crowded with people that could potentially have the condition. And first of all, if they had the condition, you should be at home. And secondly, well, there should be no reason to have these shows go on until it's much safer, like you mentioned just then, how the risk is still too high. And in my opinion, it's going to have to be when everything is back to normal to actually allow shows go to normal. And considering there are some promotions actually happening for next year's shows in January time and February time to say might be a safe time to happen. If that was
that's what we're looking at right now as well.
If that was the case, it's still too soon. In my opinion, it's still too soon because we are halfway through this year. Another 6 months, perhaps anything could happen. The meteors can strike the earth, like the volcanoes, earthquake, and everything that can happen.
Yeah, the year has been great so far.
Yeah, exactly. But I think all said and done is the best thing to do is just don't put any shows on until you know the right time happens. And that way you're actually saving a bit of money from the promotion perspective and the label's time as well. Because as I mentioned in my previous podcast sessions is promotions do actually make the money much as possible, but they lose money as well. It doesn't matter how big or small the bands are, they are going to lose income when stuff like this does happen. And unfortunately, festivals are losing money because they're not making any income from the bands actually coming in to make shows. Or if you have shows going through, promotions are not going to make any ticket sales because it's still too risky to actually go to these events where if there might be a few people who be like, oh yes, I am going to go and purchase this ticket and be a fucking idiot, but in the long run, shows are going to cancel and then people are just going to kick off. Like that doesn't how it works. At the end of the day, I think the best time is just wait till next year, and realistically, you're saving yourself a lot of time. And then try and be predictable and think, oh, you know what, this is going to happen in December where shows are going to be back to normal. In my country, that's the conditions and the structure of what's going on is too early. Like everything is trying to calm down too early, and it's not the right call in my perspective. I know.
Well, realistically, I agree with you. I also think that it's gonna be not earlier than next year, of course. Yeah. We are trying to be optimistic, so when we get an offer of a show, for example, for the end of this year, we agree, we consider it, because it may happen, it would be cool.
Happen, sure.
But we'll see how it will be closer to it, because there are too many things that don't depend on us, absolutely. Not even one bit, so we'll just see. Our task is to remain responsible.
That is the main thing. You have to take the responsibility in front of you and just make sure you're just doing the right procedures. And if you don't do it, then you're going to put other people in harm. And that's just the major issue. For example, where I'm living I live in a housing association where there's 31 people in separate houses, like in little studio flats. Most of the time there are people in a massive gathering, so I'm trying to avoid these people as much as possible because it's still too risky to actually socialize with people and actually wanting to be around people because you don't know if anybody has actually got that condition, and it's just if I get it, I'm going to be more exposed as I'm already being exposed at work, and then with myself being exposed, I need to be distant from people because I could give it to them, and they don't realize that. So the best thing to do is for them, they need to stay inside, but unfortunately, they ignore the procedures and they just do what they want to do, being self-ignorant and actually don't take the responsibility, just being irresponsible, basically, which is just unfortunate. But let's talk about the music perspective, because we know that Extermination, Dismemberment are a brutal death metal band, and they're really heavy. They're getting noticed pretty much, and in my honest opinion, like, where did this Extermination, Dismemberment come? Was it pretty much your project idea, or was it like Red Bandrin's idea, or how did it actually happen?
Oh, it was absolutely idea of Red Baton, as we called him, who is Arseny, our guitarist. He and our first vocalist, Valery. As you may know, I'm not the first vocalist of the band. Initially, I was the drummer of the band, and then I became vocalist in 2016.
Cool.
So the band originally was created by Arseny and Valery, guitars and vocals. And basically all they wanted to do is just to make some music real quick, just as brutal as possible.
Yeah.
Just to play some shows and kick some ass, basically, because I'm sure our city is not unique in this matter. We had a lot of metalcore shows, especially around then. It was around 2009, 2009, 10. So it's metalcore, deathcore, all the way, all the same tight shorts, you know, made of jeans, and all those shows everywhere. Okay, so they all played the same, and the guys just wanted to, you know, bring some havoc to.
To understandable.
Yeah, just to have some fun, and so they made the first album. If I'm not mistaken, they made the first album real quick. Just they had a real fun during making it. They chopped real meat during recording. You know, they wore the butcher coats and stuff. So it's yeah. So a lot of cool stuff is actually went into recording, and a lot of Easter eggs that no one even knows about, only us. So yeah, and so they released. They released this album. And by release, I mean they just uploaded to the internet, just for everyone to listen. Not label, not anything, just upload it. Here in Belarus and in Russia and until some time in Ukraine, we have our own Facebook, if you heard about it. It's called vk.com. And on this website, you can just upload music and share it, whatever. It's basically not... Especially in these times, it wasn't controlled in any way. So
of course,
you can upload anything, share it however you want, and so on. So that was the initial release of our first album. Then they started to look for members to actually play the shows. They found our bassist Victor, and Victor and I were playing in a band of our own at the time.
Cool.
And he offered me to try to play drums for Extermination, Dismemberment.
Okay.
And I said, oh, okay, maybe as a side project, you know, maybe I'll help them out a couple shows. And as you guys say, the rest is history. Pretty much we start playing the shows. The wheel started turning, and in 2013, we released Serial Herbicide. We released it properly through Amputated Vein Records, Japanese label, and that's how it started. And by the way, the first album before release, it got some well, it got recognized because just people shared it. We didn't know anything about promo. We were just kids. We didn't know anything about promotion, about advertisements. Absolutely nothing. We didn't have any idea how to even contact any label, basically.
Sure.
And so, luckily, the music did that for us. Basically, the music got heard. It got found by the key people, and they helped us out. So it definitely wasn't without luck.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
but as well, if there was only luck, if there wasn't also hard work to that luck, then this luck would be wasted, I would say.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah. Like
So it's a
sometimes
combination.
with underground music is really tricky to get the recognition, and sometimes you need to have that fan base to actually start sharing everything, and then at one point you might have like one of the promoters to be friends with someone who shared that music. We think I'll give this a listen because I've never heard of it before. Oh, fucking
Yeah.
hell, this is quite heavy. This is really excellent. So I want to speak to this band and actually sign up a contract or do something. So sometimes, as you said, luck does come into play, and it's really interesting how, like you actually say, you was not signed before you actually had the Cerebral Herbicide released, and then bam, everything started to explode. Like it's an interesting story, and like
Well, I definitely wouldn't call it an explosion, to be honest. It's not explosion, and I don't think we're, first of all, I don't think we're big enough to be talking about any explosions, first of all. But even talking about the level that we're at right now,
yeah,
it was a very steady process. No explosions, I would say. Maybe when we released Serial Herbicide, there was a little jump, but not explosion. It got everything really started moving. The album was released in 2013, and everything really started moving around 2016, I would say, when Arseny returned from the army. He had to go there for 1.5 years.
Okay.
And we got the band, the new lineup together. So I took the vocalist place, and we found Denise as our new drummer.
Yep.
And then when we started touring, when we started, building that connections with everyone, then the process really started going well.
Start rising a bit. Yeah, it just takes time, But no, it's like I was just going to mention is ever since that time where it was 2016, as you say, it started rising. That's when you get a lot of offerings for shows, festivals, maybe new contracts from label companies. It does take time for bands that have not got that recognition that they need to understand that patience is the key, and sometimes it takes out you need to have a bit of luck to actually make this happen.
I would say yes, definitely. Patience is the key, and everything happens really slowly in this industry. But I would say I would advise the bands who are only at the beginning of the journey, not to do it to become successful as fast as possible. Oh, I can went to be successful. I think that's not the right goal, because in that mindset, no matter how successful you become, humans are built that way. They always want more, always, no matter how much they have. And so with that mindset, however successful you may be, you will never be successful at all.
Exactly.
Because you will never have enough. And on the contrary, when from the start, from the very beginning, all you want to do is just play shows and just play your music, just to compose your music, put it out there. You want people to hear it, and it just the process of playing it makes you happy. Then from the first day you have everything you need, and you are already more successful than all those wannabe rock stars will ever be. I
Yeah,
would say. So
precisely.
set the right goals for yourself, and don't start playing music for fame,
No, you should
because
play music for
because
fun.
music is fun enough by itself.
No, I mean for a band to be in a band, you've got to have fun and you've got to have the opportunities just to be patient and the right things will come. It's just if you want to put the work into it, you have to make it work. You have to put time and to
Definitely.
grind it. You can't be like, oh, to be successful, I want to do this, and that's going to give me the fame and it's going to give me the money. That's not how it
Yeah,
works.
that's just a road to nowhere.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
exactly.
from the
So
start. Yeah.
it's just if you want to be in the band, you've got to do it just to have fun, just to make sure the band has some history. Yes, there's going to be some curves along the way where there will be some moments that it's not going to be a good luck. There's going to be some bad lucks for sure,
Yeah.
especially
For
touring
sure.
wise. It can be a nightmare. But you have to
Yeah, especially in the beginning of your career, yes, when promoters don't give you good conditions, you just you just accept whatever they agree to whatever,
exactly.
and yeah, it can be, well, it's your experience, it's your adventure, it's your journey. It's still interesting,
Yes,
at
it is
least.
interesting. Yeah,
If
sure.
nothing else, it is interesting, and you wouldn't be in some shitty place on the on another end of the world, in another country, with people you wouldn't meet at all. It all
No.
happens because of the music, and it's just remember it. It's gonna be, at least it's gonna be a funny story.
It will be a fun story.
Yeah,
It'll be fun to think about it in the next 15 years to think about how did I actually start this band? This happened, that happened,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
such and such. And as you said, it will be a funny story to remember when the band can put up the jackets up to the hanging and that's it, they're done. They can retire and think about it and don't have to do any more shows. But speaking of which, what's been like your favorite shows that you guys have done ever since being in the band?
Well, the more shows you play, the more favorite shows appear,
Sure.
because all of the time there happens some show that is the best you ever had. Every time, basically, almost, I wouldn't say maybe every tour, that would be uh, I guess too much, but at least every other tour there happens some show that you go like, oh shit, that was a great show.
Yeah.
And in our latest tour, it was actually two big shows, which is in France, open air festival Motoculture,
Yep.
and in Germany, Deathfest.
Yeah.
Deathfest 2019.
Yes.
Incredible show. So this is a good example of, I would say, one of the best shows so far
Yeah.
we ever had. Definitely.
By far.
Definitely.
Yeah, by far, because I know going to Death East has always been a great festival. Like, if anybody that
Oh,
has not been there before, definitely go to Death East Open Air Festival. It
yeah.
might be able to be rescheduled next year, but the lineup just proves that the underground scenery is not going to go anywhere, and they still want to keep doing the good shows. They want to do good festivals, especially in Europe, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, and then getting better.
Yeah, exactly. The Motoculture Festival in France, the Death East Open Air in Germany. There's Summer Breeze. There's Paysan. There's Wacken. There are big festivals as well. And
Yeah.
but the main ones are basically my favorite ones are the underground festivals, which is Death East, which is Paysan and everything. And
Yeah, we
find
really wanted to stay for a couple of days on that Death Feast in 2019 when they played the show, but we had to go to the next city the next day.
yes.
But we wanted to stay, man.
Did you
Because
guys, did you guys stay the what was it 2018 one?
we missed it, unfortunately. 2018, we missed it. We didn't even have a tour around then, and yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, if for anybody that has not been there before, definitely stay for the whole weekend, even if you're in the band, because it's actually worth staying. And it's a good
Oh
weather
yeah.
scenery. It's a good place to hang out with people that you have seen before. It's definitely a good local place to actually go and get some food and beverage and everything. Like it's a really good location. and I hope it stays like that for the rest of our coming time as a festival. Because it's been more than 10 years apparently that this has happened. So I'm glad in some perspective that the scenery in that area is really good and it's really recognizable. Like it's got some good ideas of what to do when you can go there for a swim, you can actually go to a pizza place, you can actually go to town, you can actually just do things while waiting for your favorite bands to play, or just be there in the festival for the whole time and actually enjoy the bands that they are actually playing.
Or just get lost in the tent city.
Do that as well, definitely. Like I remember one time.
And by the way, don't forget the grindcore disco at night.
Oh, that one. Oh my goodness. I will never forget that. But I think I went to that one on the second year, I think. But my goodness, it was really interesting. But I hope there's stuff I hope there's more silent discos or stuff like that for the festival. But it'll be interesting. But the Deafy's Open Air has always been a great festival for me. But I would love to go to different festivals. Like the one I was going to go to was in France. It was not the Martirosov festival. There was another one. I think it was the Baka show.
Baka Fest. Yes, we're booked for the November.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And there was another one. It was, I don't think you guys was included on that one, but it was the Slammer Feria in I think it's in Netherlands, I think. So good lineup.
Not sure. We were booked for Slammer Feria this August.
Yeah.
So, and I don't remember other.
No.
Maybe. I know that the only time you and I met was at Death Feast 2017.
Yeah, that was the only time, but we never met personally. I was so keen of doing it, but I was like, where the fuck is the guys? No, we'll definitely meet up one time, I know for sure, because I know you guys came to London at one time, and unfortunately that was on a Sunday and I couldn't be able to get back home. It was a tough one because that was an Easter period as well. I would definitely remember the day. It was definitely an Easter period, and it was basically outside of London area. It was so bad organizing. Like I know the promoter and everything, but it was a worst place to put yourself in there. Because if it was somewhere in central London area, like there's a venue called the Black Heart, which is in Camden, and that would have been so much easier. The Black Heart House is about 1,000 people. Literally 1,000 people or something, so the capacity is like, no, it might not be 1,000 actually, it might be 300 people, I think. So it's a very small area, but it's a really good place to actually, for a small show, and especially to go crazy in that area. It's a really good place. I definitely recommend it. The next time you go. Yeah, next time, definitely. I'm really hoping sometime soon that they promote and get you guys to come back to London for sure. Then we'll definitely speak again. But it'll be fun. But aside from that, what's made you want to become a vocalist?
Come again?
What made you want to become a vocalist, a singer?
Well, I'd say I always wanted to be a vocalist. It just attracted me. I just liked singing. Back in high school, when I listened to the bands, I tried to sing along with them. But then when we started talking, not with Extermination, but with other guys that I had my first band with, we just, we weren't proper musicians. We just wanted to start a band, and it was just then decided that I become a drummer. And I was like, all right, a drummer it is, because, well, it just happened. So, so even when I was a drummer, I always, in my mind came back to the idea of being vocalist, maybe in some other project or something like that. So this idea always fascinated me. And then in Extermination, when our first vocalist left, Valery left, we tried to find another guy. So I didn't just say, oh, okay, I'll be the vocalist now, We spent some time, I'd say even maybe almost a year,
Yeah,
trying to find a replacement because you know when you're looking for a vocalist, you're looking not for just a voice but
no,
also for a face, and
yeah,
you know you want the guy to understand what the band is about, you know,
mm.
to understand the message, to understand the mood, to understand the
The
image of
personality and the character, they've got
the
to be there.
character. Yeah, that's what I was looking for, the character, definitely. And when you get a new guy, you need to, well, first of all, it's hard to find a guy that you never knew before who would just get it.
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
it's very hard. He may be the best vocalist in the world, but he may be not. You know, there may not be chemistry,
Yeah.
and so yeah, we really struggled to find the guy. We tried different options, and then I just said to Arseny, man, you know what? I think, what if I take the vocals place, and we try to find a new drummer instead, because drummer, although it's also very hard to find,
Yeah.
because good drummers in Europe, there are more good drummers, I would say, but for some reason in our country, in Belarus, not so many, because it's not very common for us to have our own houses.
Okay.
So everybody lives in apartments.
Yeah.
So you can't play fucking drums in an apartment. Everyone will hear you.
Exactly.
Everyone.
Yeah.
So that makes it harder for people to learn
Mm.
playing drums on that, you know, level.
Yeah.
But still, at the same time, you just need the guy to play drums, and that's it. So it becomes only one one task to fulfill, you know. And so we got, if I remember correctly, we got one guy. We had a couple of rehearsals with him.
Mm.
Didn't work out, and then we found Denis, I think so. Denis was our second try.
Okay.
And we knew him. He didn't know us, but we knew him because he played in a lot of bands that were known around here
Right.
in Minsk, our hometown. Played number of technical deathcore, death metal bands. So
Sure.
we knew he could pull this off, and he turned out to be a great guy as well. We love him, and yeah, that's how we found him. So that's how it happened that I became the vocalist, and we found a new drummer, and now everything is in place. Because to be honest, if you compare me as a drummer to Denis, our current drummer, he is better. He is way better. So we kind of, you know, took care of two things at once. We got the vocals and we got the better drumming. So win-win.
Very win-win indeed. Very easy.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is very hard to get like a replacement here for a specific position, like a drummer position. That is very hard. Like I know for a fact, if you definitely play in a band, you are going to find struggles to find replacements or try and find new members that plays with that same character, the same personality, and the same music style. That does become very tricky because the list goes very, very tiny as well. And the limited opportunities you find that specific person, it's really, really difficult. But in the long run, as you said, you found the replacement, and it just makes it as a win-win situation, and it's really good.
Yeah.
You know, it's really good. Hopefully, it stays like that for a long time.
Maybe that's how it was meant to be from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are some bands that be like they needed a switch here and there to actually make it work, and it happened. And as you said, maybe that was supposed to happen, and it did happen. You know, so it's fantastic. So since Cerebral Urban signed, you guys had a new, like basically a one-track song out called the Omifal. That was basically out 2018.
Right.
Yep. I know there's a lot of fans out there that have been asking for new music. What's the picture with it at the moment? Is there going to be new music coming out, like say for example next year? Is it going to be out like this year? What's been going on with the music progress? If you're able to
Well, the music is definitely in the works. Um, I would say there's definitely a lot of done already. There is already a big portion of the album. Uh, I would also go as far as saying, including not only music, a lot of stuff is already becoming done.
yeah,
Okay,
cool.
but the album is still in the current state. It's still not perfect.
Yes.
So the least thing we want to do is to rush it. We don't want to rush it
No, you
because
just
it's
want to take
music.
your time.
Yes, it's music, and you release it to the world only once, and it stays there. And so if you rush it, it stays like that forever. That's definitely something we don't want to do.
No, of course.
We would rather wait and I guess make fans wait for one more year. I'm not saying we're going to. I'm saying we would rather
Sure.
than to release an album that we are not completely proud of, that we are not 100% sure that it's as perfect as we could make it. Because that was exactly the case with Serial Herbicide. We didn't rush it at all. Arseny, the guitarist, made all the music, and man, he took all the time he needed. I know that a lot of bands have to release their albums quickly because of the labels,
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff, but luckily we don't have to.
That's
It's just we're just dudes making music, and we will release. We don't. Well, I don't like the phrase "we don't owe it." Yeah, but I would say that it would be better for everyone if we release it when we are completely sure that it is perfect. It would
sure.
be definitely better for us because we will be super proud of it as we are of our second album. We are definitely not shy to say that we think that it's a great album. Our second album, Serial Herbicide. So this is the album that we are confident in. And we want to be able to say the same thing about the third one. So I could say something like that. Something like it's probably going to be ready in a week, in a month, in 6 months. But reality is, I don't know. It's gonna be ready when it's ready.
Yeah.
When we see it's done, then we will start booking dates, start fishing for labels, all that stuff. But music is the king. It's the most important thing. It's our legacy. It's what made us a band people want to hear more. So why would we compromise it and rush something that we are not completely proud of?
No, I completely agree. It just takes time, especially for any band that wants to make good music. It just takes time, production-wise, mastering the album-wise as well. It just takes so much time to make sure tweaking it here and there to make it sound like it's actually the right sound as well, or to redo a specific track to make sure that it's the right element as well. So it does take time. Like sometimes.
Definitely. And take care of every little detail, of in every song to make it not just a quick song. Oh, guitars go here, drums go there, just release it. That's cheap. That's not worth it. We want to make, we want to make a project, a painting that would breathe, that would have everything in it that we would like to see in it. And we definitely appreciate that people want to hear it as soon as possible. Believe me, we also want to release it as soon as possible. Definitely, we are the first people on earth who want to show everything.
Absolutely.
We can't wait. Definitely, and we appreciate everyone who says well, when is the album, guys, etc., etc. Yes, definitely, because that's what we need as a band. We want people to want to hear more of our music, and it makes us very happy. And so just a little more patience, no rush, and it will be better for everyone.
Absolutely.
We will make it perfect, and then it's gonna happen.
Yeah, then it's going to be all shit goes crazy. Everyone's going to be expenditures.
It's gonna be worth the wait, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. It will be. It will definitely be worth the wait, and I know I am desperately waiting for it as well, compared to like other people as well, and like you guys are waiting for the right time to release it as well. So in the end, it will be perfectly stable to wait, and it'll be worth it as well. So aside from music, and aside from being a vocalist, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, as my job, I also make music. Not metal, not metal. I make like music for advertisements and stuff, like stock music that you can just download to the internet for your YouTube video and stuff. Most of my stuff is orchestral music, like inspiring advertisement tunes and some pianos, and so it's definitely not death metal. Yeah, death metal is one world, and the music that brings you like quick money, I'd say, is definitely another world. Yeah, and that's basically it. And if I may say, the same goes for our guitarist and my wonderful friend Arseny. He also does the same thing that I do. So we're both in it, making music for advertisement for a living.
Yep.
And making also music for Extermination, Dismemberment. But of course, all music for Extermination, Dismemberment, at least I would say 98-9% of it is made entirely by Arseny, because it's his vision, it's his big picture of the album. He knows where to put everything, every song, every part of the song, every part where part of one song should stand compared to another part of other song. Everything is interconnected in the album when he does it. So in that I trust him completely.
Yeah.
Well, and returning to your questions, other than that, a little hobby of mine, I like working with wood.
Yeah.
Not sure how it's called in English.
Carving.
Well, just building stuff from wood.
Okay, DIY stuff basically. So
DIY, yeah. Little DIY projects from wood, just to just to get your mind free of everything.
Sure.
You're not thinking of anything. You just making, for example, I made some stands for my speakers in my home studio. I made some benches that you sit on. Some table for my house outside the city, country house, dacha, we call it dacha. Country house, yeah. So the stuff like that, nothing major. I definitely don't sell anything. I definitely don't make anything good enough to sell, to ask money for it. Just for myself, little things, and that's enough for me to keep me balanced. Because when you, I don't know, I think when you do only one thing, even if it's the thing you love the most in your life, like music, if you spend all your time doing only one thing, I think it becomes a little bit imbalanced. Your life becomes a little bit, skewed to one thing too much, and I don't know. I think you need something else to maintain the balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Like everybody's life needs to have a balance between work and life. Like you want to make sure it's balanced and make sure it's equal, and instead of like work is more priority compared to hobbies, or the other way around. And you need to have that balance, like life and work. You got to make sure that it actually makes it completely healthy for you as well, because if you don't keep the same balance, it just ruins your mind, and your body, your energy is just withdrawn so massively, and it changes your mood, it changes your atmosphere with places or things to do. Like you just lose the interest to work or lose interest to do have hobbies as well. So I understand that completely.
You even may lose the interest to the things you really loved before.
Exactly.
You just burn out, and that's very unfortunate when it happens.
Absolutely, it is unfortunate for sure. Considering how we mentioned earlier this podcast that as I am a key worker, I'm already exhausted as it is, and people are going to be working a lot more because they haven't got anything else to do compared to staying at home, or actually can't do anything much like going to the gym, because the gyms, they've got to follow procedure, they've got to stick to the protocols about safety, health and safety, about safety for people to be distant with each other, how many people are allowed to go into the gym in one go, and the booking operation, like, it's too much hassle. So what people normally do now is buying bikes and actually go for a bicycle ride and actually go far away to actually contain that healthy mindset as well. So there is an alternative solutions, but only if people are willing to do it, because there are people like, for example, they stay at home, they actually don't do anything, and you'll be questioning yourself, how do they actually do it? Where some people actually stay at home, sleep until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they don't do anything. They don't have a job, they don't have no life, they have no income. How can you provide a life like that? It's a negative energy that you're going to withdraw yourself in the long term, and it kind of sucks, unfortunately.
Well, it's definitely very imbalanced, at least.
Absolutely.
Too imbalanced.
It is. It is. So speaking of balance, I like to do it for. There's the last thing I like to do in this podcast before we finish. I like to do something to give back to the bands, and that's basically do some shout out opportunities for underground scenery. And so I'm going to demonstrate it to you. That basically there are bands that need the attention. They need the more fan population. They need some opportunities for like label companies to be like, you know what, I'll give this band a listen. If they've been unsigned, they can do something like that. Clothing companies that they work their ass off to make sure the bands get the merchandise they need that recognition as well. So it's kind of like, let's say for example, I do a shout out opportunity for Extermination, Dismemberment, because let's say I like their music and people should go and listen to it. That way people can actually be like, I go and listen to this band because this person recommended to me, for example. So in a way, it's actually giving something back instead of receiving it, because I like to make sure I support the band in a good way, because obviously COVID-19, you can't go to shows at the moment. So the main thing what people are trying to do is purchasing merchandises, but sometimes people don't have the money for it. So the solution I had was, why not do a podcast, sit down with musicians that I am fans of or I'm not fans of, get some stories through and actually speak to them about some stuff. And actually, in a way, people could be like, get some recommendations from musicians that they listen to, because in their minds, they'll be thinking, oh, there'll be some bands that are not touring as well at the moment. They're not getting good income. They're not actually getting the opportunities as well. So they will be mentioning about it as well. So let me do a list and do just a couple of shout outs so you can get the idea. And then what I'll do then, I'll give you the platform of doing recommendation for people to listen to, whether it is real death metal or maybe it is something like techno music or whatever, so people can actually get some idea of understanding what they should listen to, or go and speak to the label companies and try and sign their bands up, and go get some purchase for clothing companies, that they should get some merchandise designs for, that because they're trustworthy, for example, and they know they do the good deeds of actually doing a good job. So let's say, for example, I like to do a shout for Ingested because they do good music and people would actually listen to Ingested.
And they're great guys. We toured with them, as you may know. Great guys.
Exactly.
Had so much fun.
Yeah, they're very, very good guys, and obviously they're a really good fan base. They work really hard to get where they are.
Yeah, they're very professional. we really liked it about them. Very professional, and they sound very tight. Yeah, so
very
definitely worth checking out if you haven't yet.
exactly. There we go. Another band I like to do a shout out for. I don't know if you have heard of them before, but it's called Cerebral Implication from USA. Again,
Probably.
I think
Something.
they played the same year when you guys did as well. I can't remember. They're very heavy. Their sound's really good. Like they're heavy as well. Like I saw them in Death East as well, and they were really, really good to see because I'm good friends with them. But they are a really good band to listen to if you like bro death metal by any means. Stillbirth are another band to recommend.
Yeah,
Yes, you know,
of course.
they're very, very good bands and very good people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Funny guys.
Oh man, they're very fun.
Yeah, fun to hang out with, definitely.
Good fun. Another recommendation. I haven't really heard of them very much, but let's go for this band. It's called the Dark Prison Massacre. I think they're from like Japan or something. I can't remember. They are very heavy. They're a very heavy band. I think they were scheduled to play sometime soon, but obviously it got postponed, and it's unfortunate. But hopefully in the future they will come and play. You know, it'll be very nice to see them and actually see them live for the first time. Another band I like to listen to is called Worm Rot, a grind band that they are really, really heavy, very fast. They played Death East, I think, last year, and they were a really, really good band. Really good band. I definitely would recommend them by any means. Another band is called Magakeen. Magakeen. There's a guy I know called Bradley Simpson who is doing some new music. They are bro death metal as well. But I have not seen them live, but they are a really good band, and they just released new music out, I think, if I remember correctly. But he's always been making new music, so he's keeping himself occupied because during this time of crisis, you want to keep yourself occupied as much as possible. You want to keep yourself in a good energy mind and keep yourself busy. Like you mentioned, you do some stuff with your wood DIY, so people like to do more music during the time. So it's keep themselves busy, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep that very small because I don't have much suggestions. I like to do a couple each episode. And the clothing companies, I definitely would recommend Pin the Knuckles. Like if people want to get some good merchandise, Pin the Knuckles are really good. They're really, really good quality clothing company. For, let's say, merchandise companies, I like to do a shout out for Brutal Mind and Tub of Lard. They're really good companies to actually go for bro death metal. Funny enough, that there was a fan that mentioned to me, there was a Facebook page called Flag Collectors United. He mentioned about wanting the Extermination Dismemberment flag, the Cerebral Open side, which I got one behind me. He was like, oh, where are the flags? Because they were flags. Obviously, you guys had flags. He was like, I can't believe I haven't got one. And I thought there was probably in Burger Mines or whatever, but they were sold out apparently ages ago. I was going to ask you actually, would there be any restock of like flags or anything like merchandise or anything in the future if there was a possibility?
Yeah, probably, you know. Right now we're you know, saving money a little bit for
course, yeah.
for the release of the next album, but you know, some flags wouldn't hurt. Definitely.
It could be like a pre-order system, you know.
Yeah,
a pre-order system that you can get the money back and you just wouldn't lose any of the income as well. So that could
yeah, definitely.
Foundation. So yeah, getting back to the previous thing about the shout-out opportunity, as we haven't got to you yet, have you got a list of recommendations to give people shout-outs for anything?
Well, I just wrote down a little list right now.
That's completely fine.
If I'm talking to a guy from UK or also people from Europe probably might be listening, and maybe even from USA, I would like to take this opportunity to give a shout out to bands from our hometown.
Yeah, sure.
And not only from hometown, from Belarus, from our country, because
Yeah.
probably many people may not know them, but that doesn't make their music any worse. It's just hard to find. Maybe hard to find.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing, one band I would like to mention. I'm not sure, they are a little bit already known. They have a release on a label. The band is called Irreversible Mechanism. Have you heard of them?
Universal mechanism. No.
Irreversible Mechanism. So they are playing. They play rather very technical death metal.
Okay.
But what I do like about them is it's not just technique for the sake of technique. It's also melodic. It's also built properly. The composition is interesting. It develops as they play, and it is also played very technically. So for the fans of technical death metal, it's a great thing to become familiar with. It's a very difficult to play music, but it's also for some people it may be difficult to listen because it was composed that way. But it's also interesting. You also feel it. You also feel the groove, the vibe. You feel some message that people wanted, that the musicians wanted to deliver through the stuff.
Yeah.
Not just riffing and double bass and lots of blast beats. It's not just that. Although for many people who are not so familiar with metal, maybe anything death metal would sound like that. But these guys I would definitely recommend. They already have some recognition in Europe. I think they went to a couple tours this year, or maybe this year and previous year. I'm not really sure. So Irreversible Mechanism, definitely check them out. Another band I would like to mention that may not even need a mention from me, but still I cannot not mention them, would be Relics of Humanity. I think you know them.
Yeah, I do.
Relics of Humanity, yeah.
Really good band.
Yeah, really good band, really good music, really cool people. They, I think it would be fair to say that they helped us a lot with their experience. They started touring properly earlier than we started touring, and so they were kind enough to share their experience with us. We're very, very grateful for that. So they definitely helped us a lot. And although many people already know them, I'm not probably the one to give them a shout out, but I cannot not mention them because they are definitely, if you haven't heard them, definitely check them out. They are this dark death metal from another world, not super clean sound, very evil, very mental, very ominous, if I may say so.
It's basically very raw.
Yeah. So if you like your music, if you like the raw sound of metal, which many people definitely do, these are definitely the guys to check out.
Absolutely.
Another band I would like to mention would be a band called Dreamfall in Vain, which is a band in which our current drummer Denise also plays. These guys are deathcore, like for the fans of the Black Dahlia murder. I would say very melodic deathcore with also complex lyrical themes. They explore many literature inspired stuff, and they sound really cool, really also technical, but at the same time melodic. So it's not just a mess of technique of notes. It's really well composed, well put together.
Sure.
So yeah, Dreamfall in Vain, if you're a fan of the Black Dahlia murder, definitely check them out.
Yeah.
They started way earlier than us, way earlier. When I was in high school, these guys already played shows. But I don't know. I guess it happens. Everybody has their day job and all the other stuff, so they didn't like. I guess the band wasn't their main focus,
Sure.
but now they seem to be more focused on it. They want to get things really going. So
Cool.
I think it would be a great opportunity to give them a shout out.
Absolutely.
And the last but not least, a band I want to give a shout out to, but I forgot the name. Let me look it up real quick.
That's
Yeah, I found it. The band is called Venom Symbiote. Venom Symbiote. They are a new slamming brutal death metal band from Belarus.
nice.
Why am I mentioning them? Because for a pretty long time, as far as I know, I may be mistaken, but as far as I know, we were basically the only slamming in Belarus. Definitely, not only death metal, not only metal, of course, but the only slamming band. Definitely, I would say most likely. At least if there was someone else, I didn't know. And so these guys would be the second, another slamming from Belarus. So I'm really glad to support them, give them a shout out. Venom Symbiote. I think they are about to release their first album or maybe an EP. I'm not sure.
Cool.
So definitely worth checking out.
Definitely.
I think that would be enough.
Cool. Rightio, then I think it's likely that we're going to finish this podcast then, which is fantastic. But it's sad times because I would have loved to stay and chat with you a bit more longer, but we probably have things to do, so we won't keep ourselves much longer. But I am hoping that when all this things gets out of the way, we will definitely have a chat and we actually meet up, because I definitely would be looking forward to do that. And what I like to do on my podcast as well is to have like basically a catch-up session, just basically just speak to people and just be like how things are after this time that we had this interview, and actually just have a sit down for a bit more longer and just actually speak a bit more longer as well than in this current time, because we probably have a lot of things that we want to talk about, and have a catch up is always the best thing to do, and it's always an idea that I like to do, because when everything gets back to normal, I definitely want to do more podcast sessions when shows actually get back to happening, because then that way there's more opportunities for me to actually speak to more people in general.
Yeah.
Then,
maybe even live, not through Zoom.
Exactly, and this is the idea, because I can do more audio podcast sessions and I can actually put them up, and instead of just doing Zoom sessions, which in a way Zoom has done a fantastic job. Like, I'm really grateful that they've done an opportunity feature where they can actually record the sessions. I like this idea, and it definitely goes on my video account on YouTube, where I can just post it and try my best to make sure it gets spreaded worldwide much as possible. But yeah, this will be a fantastic opportunity for us to have catch up whenever time gets back onto its feet and actually things get back to normal. I'll definitely be looking forward to it, and definitely be looking forward to see you guys play again. Definitely one of the live hard bands that I have ever listened to live, and definitely one of the bands I've most enjoyable listening to every time.
Thank you very much.
Most pleasure, man. Absolutely, having a blessing opportunity to have you on it. It was a fantastic opportunity, and
it was great.
Hey, I'm happy for that, man. But yeah, I'm grateful that this happened. But yeah, unless you've got anything else to say, we're going to finish this podcast. Feel free to say anything, man.
Well, I would like to just say to you, that you don't stop, man. Don't stop. You're doing great.
Thank you.
You're doing great. Just I saw on Facebook that you maybe feel tired at times, but anyway, don't stop, man, and it will grow. The platform will grow, and it will become great thing.
Absolutely.
It's the same as music. Just make it fun for you as it is. Don't chase the success, and you will be successful from the start.
Absolutely, and I appreciate the wise words from there, because I know there has been some people recently will be mentioning about it, but obviously people on YouTube won't realize what we're talking about. But let's just say that I was going to take a bit of a break, and people will be thinking, why would I want to do that? It's just because at the moment, during this situation, that it's kind of getting a little bit tiring. It's not just the podcast for this reason. It's just obviously I'm working too much, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's getting exhausted. Like I've been struggling to get out of bed for the past 2 days. But I know that I'm on holiday next week, so it's not a bad thing. I can recharge a little bit, but it is getting a little bit tiring. People are getting exhausted. People are going back to work more often now. There's somebody I'm speaking to currently that she's mentioned applying about it's getting more tiring. It's so overwhelming for people who have been off for the past 3 months or 4 months. Like they're overworking too much too soon. But unfortunately, it's nobody knows when all this is going to get back to normal, you know. But
You gotta keep going, man.
we will have to see what happens, and we'll just have to make sure we keep supporting each other. We have to keep communicating with each other just to make sure everybody stays safe and actually do the procedures correctly by any means. But yeah, I really appreciate your kind words. I really appreciate that a lot. And I would like to say thank you to you on that. And I thanks to everybody that has spoken to me. I haven't really got back to messaging people because I've been trying to step away from it as much as possible and actually just take the time to look after myself a bit more. But I will get back to messaging people, you know. But yeah, other than that, I'd like to say thank you very much for everybody that has stayed listening to this podcast. It means a lot. If you have not done this yet, and if you're new to this, subscribe to the YouTube account, follow my Facebook account. You know, if you don't want to do that, that's completely fine. There's no harm in that. Like everybody has an option and a choice to do that. By any means, go and follow Extermination, Dismemberment. Go and follow the other bands that we recommended as well, because they're great musicians, they're great bands to listen to. Whatever it is, brutal death metal, whether it is death metal in general, whether it is like techno or anything, just make sure you have the time to listen to all these recommendations. Just make sure that, you know, you're supporting everybody that you are surrounded with. Just make sure you keep your distance. By any means, just keep yourself safe, much more possible. But other than that, I'd like to say thank you and look after each other, guys. And, you know, get ready for a Saturday where I'm going to do double duty podcast sessions. It'll be fun, but on the good side, I'm on holiday next week, so I can actually have a good time to recharge myself on the Sunday. But yeah, other than that, Vlad, thank you very much for coming in. It means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
It was an absolute pleasure to have you on there. And thank you very much for everyone to come on there and actually listen to this podcast. It means a lot as well. Other than that, get ready for Saturday double duty podcast sessions and stay safe until next week. Thank you very much, guys. Peace out.